we're continuing our conversations with civil engineers and ICA members about how the COVID-19 pandemic has changed their working lives. My next conversation is with Lindsay McNeely, a chartered civil engineer and site agent with Farrens Construction. Hi Lindsay, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm Lindsay McNeely. I'm a site agent for Farrens Construction and currently I'm working on the Great Yarmouth Third River Crossing.
And what impact has the pandemic had on your normal working life?
So at the stage of the project we're on at the minute is primarily design, development and site investigation. So without COVID, I would have been in Norwich regardless, or in Great Yarmouth. So once COVID hit, everyone moved to working from home. After the first few weeks and after a bit of thinking, how are we going to manage this? When we needed to, we then planned to implement site investigation on site successfully and following all the procedures. So based on this, my working routine has changed. So I work from home when I can, when I'm not physically required on site, and then travel to site to manage the works once they have to be done. We've recently opened our project office, so again I'm commuting back and forward to the office, but with the view in mind that only when really required, if we can manage things with the team working remotely, at the minute that's the safest way to do things.
What about whenever you're working on site?
So some of the main differences then when we're working on site, beforehand you may have said, oh, there's 10 operatives in that gang, we'll get welfare for 10, but now is a 10-person welfare unit fit for 10 people? Instantly no. In reality it's fit for 3 once you measure distances. So instead of just ordering things, we have to look at everything in much more detail and distance and measurements. And then on site, the day-to-day running, there's a lot more to do before we physically start work. So checks, temperatures, briefings are held outside, which has worked pretty well, making marks on the ground to make sure everybody knows where to stand, and then briefing everything outside in the fresh air. We've tried to move eating areas outside as much as possible as well, so just where we can, we restrict people being close to each other inside. And then just while we're doing the works, some tasks you would get going and leave them be and be confident when you come back the task is complete. But now we would spend a lot more time watching and supervising and ensuring that 2-meter distancing is not breached, and then if it is, we need to reassess, risk assess again how to control this. So do we need to change what we're doing, or do we need to add additional PPE? So in terms of that, there's quite a much higher level of supervision required, just to ensure we can keep everybody safe and keep everything going.
And what do you think the medium and longer term effects of this are going to be?
A positive effect of everything that's happened is that a lot of members of our team have found that their travelling has changed. So originally they may have travelled to site in England or Scotland 2 or 3 days a week. Now they're realising that they can do the majority of their work from home on video calls, working in different ways with people. So they're benefit in a way with an increased or an improved work-life balance. And then when we're thinking about the site team who are on site full time, one of the things which I'm not sure is a benefit yet, but we have to do such an increased level of planning and detailing to ensure distances and processes are in place that hopefully there will be an improvement, not necessarily in productivity, but possibly how efficient the processes are that we put in place when this extra level of detail is looked at.
You got any advice that you'd like to share with other people?
Firstly, just for everyone to realise this isn't one person's problem, so we need everyone involved in civil engineering projects to be thinking about it. The client, designers, contractors all need to work together and think of ideas of how do we make this work while abiding by the procedures and restrictions we have to put in place to hopefully work together and keep everything going as much as we can. And then on more of a project or office or workplace level, we just need to remember that procedures are in place for a reason. Distancing is required, and if all the signage is up doesn't necessarily mean you're safe. We need everyone to remember that we have to follow the rules and keep doing everything that's required so that we can go home saying we've done everything we can to keep others safe and hopefully keep everything going.